member sent me down to check out the latest and greatest that Q Branch has to offer. Oh, 007. Good heavens, it's great to see you. Come take a look at this. Oh, and what is this we are looking at? Why, this is the latest in our R&D. Research into virtual reality, don't you know? The Meta Quest. Oh. And what is it this is going to do? Oh, good heavens, 007, didn't you read the briefing email? Oh, I can barely read, Q. Right, well, take a look at your smartwatch and check the briefing video. Oh. Is it recording? Oh, righto. Righto! What's this for? Oh, do your homework, 007. Honestly. With this technology, we won't need to send agents into the field for training anymore. They can relive one of your greatest adventures in virtual reality. Check the tutorial, damn it. Hello, cadets, and welcome to your demonstration video on how to use virtual reality training missions. Don't you know? Alright, so first thing you've got to do. Go to the link in the description and download the software. That's a rather good likeness, Q. Oh, yes, rather. Well, one of the boffins 3D scanned me, don't you know? Oh, that sounds obscene. Were required. Okay, next step. I cannot provide you with means on how to get your Goldeneye Nintendo 64 game, but a quick Google search should help you. Go ahead and get that downloaded. Alright, open up Winimage software. Point it to your ROM file. Open it. Go to ROMs and open it. Okay. Now simply drag and drop your Goldeneye Nintendo 64 ROM in there and close it. Now take your SD.RAW file, copy it, go to My Documents. Inside there you'll find your Dolphin folder. Open that up, and again you will find a Wii folder. Open that. Paste the file in there, overwriting anything else that may already be there. Okay. Your next step is to open up your Dolphin VR software. Go to Paths and point that to where your Wii 64 file is. Okay. The next thing you've got to do is play that file. Alright, you will be greeted in your VR headset with another emulator window, don't you know? Alright, what you need to do here, scroll to settings. Now this setting is important. If you don't press it, everything will appear skewed and stretched and to a weird angle. So go ahead and change it from force 16:9 to simply 16:9. Alright, now in your main Dolphin settings, make sure they look like these. Pause the video if you need to. Do I really have to wait this long if they're going to pause it, or should I continue? Okay, so are you ready? Well, if you're not, you can go back and pause it. Okay. I'm not getting any younger, so I'm wasting no more time. Okay. If you followed all of those steps to the letter, you're ready to now begin your VR training. Goldeneye 64. Back in the headset, look to where it says Load ROM. Press it. Now, depending on how many Nintendo 64 games you have installed on that SD-RAW file, you can search for it. But there it is, Goldeneye. Click on it. If we go back to the main menu, simply scroll down to play. And now, with the settings that we have applied, you can play Goldeneye for the Nintendo 64 in VR. Right. Well, that's it, chaps. Tally-ho.
Have you stopped recording?
Well, I have to say, that was quite impressive, Q. Oh, 007 it was, rather, wasn't it? Mind if I, have a try at this, meta quest, did you call it? Well, certainly, here, try the latest model we have in development for Apple, don't you know? Vision or something. Try it on. Oh, I say. Gorgeous! Okay, I presume this works like any normal web browser? Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Oh, alright. 6 degrees of freedom. Virtual ladies. Pass the Kleenex, won't you, Q? Good heavens, 007! Give me the back at once, misogynistic charlatan.
VRified Games.
What's up, player? Yeah. Living Dead Talking Head. And the Living Dead Talking Head. Coming at you live with Daigo with VRified Games. How we doing, Daigo?
Hey Ed, how's it going?
It's going alright. So, haha. Tell me, what are we doing today?
For your eyes only, Ed. And well, I guess the eyes of the viewers also. We made a breakthrough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so up until very recently, the N64 experience on Dolphin VR was less than pleasant. You had very unstable frame rates, graphical issues as long as my arm.
Yeah, but you're a short ass, man.
Well, pretty long, okay? Graphical issues as long as you like.
I don't like it that long.
Damn it, Ed. A lot of issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the Okay, yeah, so you had frame rate issues, you had graphical issues, issues with choppy audio, you name it. It was a very, very bad experience. But recently, a new version of the Wii 64 beta was released for Dolphin VR. Now, a lot of thanks goes to Lagaya Flame over on Reddit, who is doing the Lord's work when it comes to Dolphin VR. Like, fantastic. You go, you search him up, he's got countless guides, countless game profiles, and he's a very helpful guy as well. So he went ahead, he made WAD files of the existing Wii 64 betas that you can play on Dolphin VR. Now the newer versions he imported only work for certain games. Like here's the thing, if a game runs well on one version, it's going to run poorly on another and vice versa. Very, very strange. So it's only like a handful of games that run really well on the glide-based versions of Wii Beta 64, and Goldeneye just happens to be one of them that runs very, very well. So yeah, very exciting time. This opens the floodgates for a lot more N64 titles to be playable in VR, which is great. Now, where Goldeneye suffered before on the previous versions of Wii 64, the culling was very, very aggressive. If you look left or right, you're just looking into a void. There was flickering on screen, it was choppy, the audio did not work at all, it was just a stuttering mess. It was a bad experience, very, very bad. Now suddenly it's like someone flicked a switch. Now suddenly the culling, it's still there, but it's not as aggressive. You can look around, it is serviceable. Frame rates are capped at 20, so that they can go up to 90 in the headset. Now yes, there is some slowdown when levels are loading in and out, when there's a lot of enemies on screen. This is all normal when it comes to Dolphin in the first place, that's just, it happens. The emulator hasn't been updated, so what you can do. Incidentally, the Wii 64 emulator was updated, so that's how we get around that. But you're still confined by Dolphin VR's limitations, unfortunately. Sound is also running great. It does get choppy at the loading screen, incidentally. I haven't really noticed it anywhere else. I've noticed it slow down slightly here and there and then speed back up again, so it's not egregious, it's not in your face. Very, very subtle. Not like before when you couldn't even make out what the people were saying. So yes, it's a very good experience. Just follow along with Q's guide at the beginning and you should be up and running in no time. So, what is GoldenEye 64? Well, as the name suggests, it's a video game adaptation of the movie of the same name. No duh. But why is this game so celebrated? Why do people love GoldenEye 64?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you. Essentially, GoldenEye 64 was a first for many things. Now, no, it wasn't the first FPS game ever, it wasn't the first 3D game ever, it wasn't the first movie license game ever, but
It revolutionized them. It changed every game in development going forward from that time in those genres. When it came to the control scheme, this would go on to standardize FPS controls. Now this was the beginning of that. Okay, so the N64 controller was something new and revolutionary with its analog stick and what have you. And the control scheme for Goldeneye 64 was new, it was different, and it took people some time to actually get their heads around it, but once they did, they found it was actually quite intuitive. Now it will go on to be refined a little bit further, but that was the beginnings of the standardized FPS control on controllers. When it came to movie tie-in games and vice versa, the track record is not great, okay? For every 100 adaptation, there's maybe one decent one. And even saying decent is kind of being generous, to be honest, but Goldeneye 64 is a fantastic movie to game adaptation. It does follow the story of the movie very, very faithfully. It deviates here and there where it needs to for a game, but it is damn close. And that is how it should be done, really. So it is very, very celebrated for that as well. You know, all the 007 fans. You know, when you think back to when Goldeneye was released, this was a breath of fresh air after the Timothy Dalton movies. It was kind of like Bond was back on form kind of thing. So riding on that kind of nostalgia, the fans went to the game, absolutely loved it. Now, this game was also responsible for many technical breakthroughs at the time. When you booted up your N64 way back in 96, 97 and you played this game, you had played nothing like that before, I guarantee you. Now, you might look at it today and go, oh, well, is that the old alpha version of Roblox, or what's going on? No. That was cutting edge technology back in the day. You had the characters' likenesses superimposed onto the polygons, so yeah. I mean, for its time, it looked amazing, it played amazing. The artificial intelligence of the enemies was praised at the time. Yes, it might seem laughable now, but you have to imagine way back then how revolutionary and amazing it was to have enemies react to, say, being shot but not knowing where the shots came from. They're looking around. Some will attack you, some will run away, some will flank you. Yeah, for its time, it was great. And it was refreshing. Every time you played the game, they're going to do something different. This game also put Rare on the map, like squarely. Rare were the darlings of the Nintendo 64 era. They would go on to create Perfect Dark, which is a spiritual successor to Goldeneye. A lot of the same mechanics were brought over to Perfect Dark. That was their own IP, and it's fantastic. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, stay tuned. There may be a video coming down the line. You didn't hear it from me, though. You know, they went on to do Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie, etc, etc. Their games, fantastic. And Goldeneye made sure that they were absolutely on the top of the pile when it came to developers on Nintendo 64. Now, Goldeneye 64 was also an exclusive for Nintendo. It wouldn't receive a port for another 26 years, so only recently did we get an updated version for our Xbox consoles and for the Switch console. Now, there was a 360 version in development that was cancelled for reasons unknown. It was leaked online, you could have played it. Apparently that version is better than the one that was just recently released, but I'll say no more. So suffice it to say, for 26 years you could only play this game legally on a Nintendo console. And even with that, the game is largely celebrated for its massive contributions to gaming in general and how it changed the FPS genre going forward from the time of its release. For very good reason, it's just fantastic. Now, there was also a multiplayer component which you could play up to 4 players split screen on your TV. And this was a fantastic game mode also. It was basically deathmatch, but you had all these classic kind of maps from throughout the James Bond series up until then. Classic characters like Jaws or Oddjob, or yeah, they were all there, present and correct. You could play as them, you could play against them, and that was a lot of fun. Incidentally, this game would go on to be remade later on for the Wii as Goldeneye 007. Now, this is also something we're going to look at the channel, so I won't go into it too much, but this game was basically a reimagining as if Daniel Craig's version of James Bond was present during the Goldeneye campaign, and how that would have differed under his era of James Bond. Like, you know, he's darker, grittier, not relying so much on the gadgetry, so it was different, played differently. All the actors were recast. It was fantastic actually, in terms of an adaptation of a non-existent Daniel Craig movie. But we'll get to that for its own video. right now, let's stick with Nintendo 64's version. So yeah, I think I've waxed lyrical enough for GoldenEye 64, as if it needed any introduction anyway, or any explanation from me. But anyway, if you guys want to play this in VR, get downloading. Follow Q's guide, get playing. Yeah, just needs to be experienced, trust me. The nostalgia is very, very real. Alright. So yeah, we'll leave it there, you guys. Like, comment and subscribe. If you have any thoughts, queries or critiques, put them down below. If indeed there are any games you'd like us to look at VRifying, put those down below and we'll get back to you eventually. Maybe, kinda, sorta, I don't know. We might. Yeah, VRified Games out.
Yeah. VRified Games. Out, out, out. Out, out, out. Out, 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 out.